Zooming across water and the beach, the Landing Craft Air Cushion, or LCAC, has one main mission: to get supplies from the ship to the shore. Ohio native Tristan Weaverly
My grandpa was in the Navy.
comes from a long line of military service. He serves as the LCAC navigator.
When the engines and the lift fans are running, they're building all that air. And when they open up, it'll push that air down into the back for the plate itself.
So like a hovercraft.
A lot of people make fun of us for calling it flying, but technically when we're all the way on cushion, you are just slightly above whatever, concrete or water, what you're on top of.
So you're actually above.
Yeah, above. Not a lot, but
Hey, enough to say you're flying, right?
yeah.
On that cushion of air, it can carry upwards of 70 tons of equipment and troops.
It's powered by 4 gas turbine engines. It's about 16,000 horsepower in total.
And you feel it.
You can absolutely feel it.
Right, clear, start
I got the chance to ride in the cabin to experience it firsthand. At speeds of over 45 miles per hour, fully loaded, the LCAC can shuttle Marines and their gear quickly to just about any shoreline on the planet.
So without you, the Marines can't do their job.
They'd have a hard time getting ashore.
So you can put 2 LCACs in here?
2 LCACs.
Paul Hast hails from Columbus, Ohio. He's giving me a tour of the USS Carter Hall, a dock landing ship that floods its well deck here to allow LCACs and other boats to come and go.
But we flooded out.
So how deep is this when it's full?
Up to 5 feet here.
5 feet.
Probably up at the beach.
So up to my neck deep of water back there. What's so important about this ship?
Of the 3 variants of amphibious warships, this is your Swiss Army knife. We've got a 30-ton crane, we've got a 180-foot well deck, and we have a series of boats and capabilities to launch boats.
Yeah, this thing's been around a long time.
At 609 feet long, the Carter Hall can pack it in. Lieutenant Hast says they will literally use every square inch during some missions.
Yeah, I can move stuff down here while I'm landing a helicopter and loading an LCAC, punch the LCAC out, launch the helicopter, land another. You just do it all.
So when you're in mission mode, you can have multiple things going on. It's like a nice balance of operation.
Yeah,
just
it's a sheet of music.
That type of mission requires strong communications, something held together by another Ohioan, an IT technician, William Roselle.
Communications-wise, making sure we can get out to other ships can get out to us.
And communicate with the air.
Yes.
The Carter Hall and those LCACs have helped when Haiti was in crisis following an earthquake.
When you have young men and women that are sailors and Marines that get their hands dirty and helping other countries and other nations that are in need, it makes you feel really good and really humble.
And that humanitarian effort is often overlooked because everyone thinks Navy, Air Force, Army, Marines, all training just to go kill people or be in war.
Absolutely.
There's a huge humanitarian component to it.
Sometimes we do more of that than we do. I mean, we're constantly training. The ship's motto is, working for peace, ready for war. That's what we say on the ship. But in that working for peace, I mean, 80% of what we do is probably preparing for, just helping a fellow man in need.
More recently, the Carter Hall teamed up for another real-world mission, a silhouette of their prize now painted on the ship's giant crane.
Our deck team was involved in the recovery efforts of a high-altitude balloon earlier this year, and so we just have our own mark on board the ship to kind of recognize the effort that our sailors put into that operation. And so they're very proud that they got to be a part of it, and they wanted to put it on the side of our ship to tell the rest of our Navy peers what we've been involved with.
On the deck of the aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, F-18 Super Hornets are on the move, launching and landing.
And their target, as we said, is their free wire. So that's what they're always shooting for.
How about that first time? The first time that you had to actually drop that tail hook and try it.
I still remember that one, and I made it, and it's a jolt.
Michael Farley, call sign Slayer, is an F-18 pilot with real-world experience in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria, most recently supporting NATO operations in support of Ukraine.
The way I described my first time taking a trap on the aircraft carrier was I knew what just happened, but I had no idea what just happened. There's some violence associated with that. You're stopping in about 700 feet from 140 knots, about 160 miles an hour to zero.
It was time for my flight to the aircraft carrier.
We're going to raise our hands in the air and say, here we go.
First, the trap. Then, my first view of the most perfectly orchestrated chaos in the Navy.
Very dangerous, yes. We always say we have to keep our heads on a swivel because it can go very wrong very quickly.
Nathan King from Indiana is a shooter. Those sailors in yellow shirts and green helmets giving the final signal to launch the aircraft.
Hand signals are everything here. I do have a radio, and I have earbuds in so I can hear, but almost everything can be done via hand signals.
Each colored uniform a specific job. It's a dance, and it's said to be the most dangerous operation in the Navy. And Indiana's Bryson Torbeck, a crash and salvage crewman, is on standby in the event something goes wrong.
Having us on flight deck with a response within 20 seconds, that's what we shoot for every time to prevent further damage.
I caught up with him just after sunrise in the calm before the chaos.
So how critical would you say your role is to always kind of be here on standby?
Oh, very, very critical, yeah. You can't operate without crash and salvage.
Anytime an aircraft is in the air, whether training or real world, one of these is in the air in the event they have to rescue a pilot.
High above the flight deck, Ohioan Desiree Mungia is one of the ship's quartermasters.
You're on a full mission. I mean, how critical is the quartermaster?
I would say that the quartermaster is very critical because we are the only ones that are actually looking at VMS. So we can see other ships that are coming through. We can see any unexploded ordnances.
Aside from sailors on the bridge, like Desiree using her eyes to see what's ahead.
Last night, I was installing and aligning that power supply right there.
Troy, Ohio's Isaac Lovett helps keep the radar's eyes working.
This is your wheelhouse. This is what you're responsible for.
It's my radar.
This is your radar.
It's my radar.
His high school love of television production led him down a path toward electronics.
Like, I'm 23 years old and I'm responsible for multiple millions of dollars worth of radars and equipment, and very, very important people need to know what I'm doing to make sure these radars are up.
It's kind of mind-boggling to be that age and that responsibility.
Yeah, I think about it a lot, and it gets scary sometimes, especially when you don't have answers.
Under night operations, making your way through the ship, one can't help but to feel like a hamster running through a maze of tunnels. Upstairs and downstairs, some 5,000 plus sailors scuttling in every direction, each with their own job to do.
As soon as they're done finishing up with a meal, they dump a bunch of mop water on the floor and they squeegee the floors, they mop them, they wipe everything down.
Just like a regular restaurant.
Yep, just like a regular restaurant.
The 6 galleys on board serve upwards of 14,000 meals a day. Cole Rains' Austin Swaggart joined the Navy right out of high school and essentially works within the civilian equivalent of a health department, responsible for everything from food safety inspections to immunizations.
Taking care of patients, making sure everybody stays safe and healthy, and that's nothing real special. In my eyes, I don't do anything special.
3, 2, 1.
My whole, I spent 5 years working at Skyline, and as much as I loved it, I can't say I've ever done anything as cool as this there.
While Goshen, Ohio native Andrew Day misses some things from home, he currently has a little more responsibility than he did during his Skyline days.
We handle all the fire control radars, basically anything you'd use to fight, defend the ship.
Giving me a tour on the aircraft carrier USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, Andrew explains the breadth of his responsibility as a fire controlman.
We have 6 total weapon systems. We have 2 NATO launchers, 2 RAM launchers, and 2 CIWS mounts. If we were ever to be attacked or if there's any sort of bad situation like that, I can trust the person defending the ship because it's me.
Defending the ship and the sailors on board is one thing. The one thing he wasn't able to do is protect his family back home in Goshen, Ohio, July 6th of 2022.
Was your family hit by the tornado at all?
They were. Our house got smoked pretty bad. My wife's house got annihilated.
As he explains, he was on deployment on the ship with limited connectivity back home.
All I found out was that there was something that happened. I knew there was a tornado. I knew it was bad. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know how bad my parents had been hit, how hard my wife's parents got hit. I was very in the dark for the first. It felt weird. It was the first time anything like that had happened, where it's like, oh, something's bad's happening. You can't be there. You can't do anything.
It was another week before he got the chance to speak with his family on the phone.
I have exhaustive lists right here of things that I want to change over the next 2 or 3 months.
Captain Christopher Hill took over as commanding officer of the Eisenhower back in March. One of the things on his change lists, better connecting sailors to their families back on shore.
I want to keep those opportunities open because I found that Some of my best sailors are the ones who actually talk to one of their parents every day.
It's not the only thing tied to morale Captain Hill is doing. He's already stopped unnecessary announcements and alarms on the ship to ensure sailors working swing and overnight shifts are well rested.
Sleep is what I consider a tactical edge in combat. It improves mood, it improves your reaction time. It just makes you a happier person so you can get along with other people and create that kind of team and camaraderie that's important to an effective warfighting team.
Are you used to finding your way around now?
Yeah, I can get anywhere.
As for Andrew Day, he's learned to navigate his way around the ship and the rough seas that can come with it, serving to protect something bigger than himself.
Could have stayed at home, could have gone to college, whatever, but I think that what I get to do out here is way cooler than any of that.
So this goes up to the bridge?
Yes.
Samantha Nassif is giving me the nickel tour of the USS Gettysburg, a guided missile cruiser currently docked in Norfolk, Virginia.
Come on in, we'll go into the pilot house.
This is the driver's seat window here.
Yes.
This is what you get, huh?
The Gettysburg is coming out of years in dry dock,
Okay, perfect.
which has meant an overhaul of just about everything in the ship she controls.
Coming out of dry dock, has that been like, okay, now we have to understand how everything's put together?
Yes, so my job is to oversee everything electrical. So we had to install all new lighting systems. We had to revamp all of our switchboards. So we've really built this ship back from 8 years of inactivity.
So imagine having a 91 Trans Am and then making it all electric and trying to upgrade it, right? That's essentially what we've done here.
Thomas Hoffman is the executive officer on the Gettysburg, and he says that's meant upgrades to basically everything from weapon systems to the radar, making it the newest old ship in the Navy.
This is by far the most capable cruiser in the world and the most technologically advanced cruiser in the world.
We are rebuilding a warship, and that's not a small feat to do.
Caden Weber of Ohio is an electronics technician, ensuring the ship can protect itself.
You're tied into whether or not that radar is working properly or
Yes,
not.
sir. We are responsible for making sure the radars and the communication systems work.
The Gettysburg isn't the only ship or sub being worked on. The USS New Hampshire was also docked when I was there.
You're in port, you're docked, there's a lot of work going on here. What's going on specifically on the New Hampshire?
Yeah, so we're doing some routine but kind of infrequent maintenance back in our engine room, keeping the nuclear propulsion equipment in the highest states of readiness.
The USS New Hampshire is a Virginia-class fast attack sub. The inside, as I found out during a tour, is cramped. 6 sailors sleep in this pod, with bed space just big enough, with very little wiggle room. Small spaces tied to a big mission with growing concerns globally.
We are taking a long view on problems. We have legitimate challenges. Our adversaries do get better each and every day, and that is, something that I think we should, expect and anticipate is going to continue going into the future.
Underway, we'll have lookouts stand up here.
And that future is in the hands of ensigns like Samantha Nassif.
As a surface warfare officer, we also have to get qualified to be able to drive the ship. So on top of being the electrical safety officer, I have to worry about learning how to drive a warship.
So you can drive the Gettysburg?
So not yet.
But she hopes to one day command a ship, perhaps even the Gettysburg, to carry on a family tradition of service.
My father served on this ship 30 years ago, Ohio native. It's exciting to see where you can come from. It's in our family.
As close to reality without the risk.
That's your tracer rounds. That's showing where your shots are going.
The Navy has a simulator for just about everything.
Okay. I have to have authorization.
But once you get authorization, they've determined that this is an enemy vessel or a threat.
Correct.
To the crew, then go and take it out.
Yep.
Michael Turner is walking me through the ins and outs of this patrol boat simulator. It helps train sailors for very specific missions.
We are providing a service to high-value units going in and out of port.
The simulator is surrounded by 4 screens. The scenarios play out as close to the real world as possible. They call it stress inoculation.
You make a mistake in here, you still live.
I reset the program and we continue on.
Full dive both planes.
Here I'm initiating a dive in this Los Angeles-class submarine simulator. Everything here is a replica of the real sub, so that sailors can go from this driver's seat to the real thing.
Wow, you just totally feel the...
Realism is everything.
We actually learn how to drive and use muscle memory by how much you actually push, right? Will be, you know, however many degrees on the stern planes or bow plane.
Driving 1 minute to fighting a water leak next.
It definitely reminds personnel on submarines when they get sent to one that it's a game of seconds.
This water leak simulator teaches sailors how to stop the water intrusion and is a requirement for all sailors to go through before going on a submarine for duty. And while you don't want that scene to play out, you will need water for this.
When a fire goes down, it's usually still in a confined space.
Lieutenant Commander Matthew Campbell says fires can pop up from faulty switches and control panels. Even a load of laundry on a ship or submarine can stop a mission.
Most likely place is the dryer, the lint.
As far as like fires go, flooding, if we don't take care of the damage underway, the ship's going down.
Sailors Seth Carter and Colleen Branham are part of damage control on the USS Gettysburg. From water leaks to fires, they're the ones who are responsible when those seconds count.
You know, when we're underway, you don't have a fire department that you can call. You don't have an emergency services. We are the emergency services.
The gear they use is no different than their civilian counterparts in your local fire department. Putting me through the paces, it's clear why the training is so critical. Because every second wasted getting ready matters.
So you have 12 minutes to get your hose team dressed out, body checked, and in the space, putting the cold, wet stuff on the red hot stuff.
So what you're saying is I need a little more training.
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
While I'm not quite ready to respond as a damage controlman, I know these sailors are ready, as are all the men and women I've met throughout my naval journey this week. From gliding on air and real-world connections, the sailors who've left home behind are each doing their part to protect our way of life. And with that, I leave them to do their work, as we as a community wait to welcome them back home.